Okay, you got all those skills, you got all those tools. Let's now jump into the second component of our program, dialing in the foundation for your dog. So all the training that we do here at Dogs That is done in layers. So for this program, the Bring Me program, we have 8 layers, but every one of those layers, it integrates components that we want your dog to know. So there's layers of learning within layers of learning. So we're going to start with our very first layer of learning, and that's going to teach your dog, I love this thing. All right? In order to get a dog who reliably brings back anything you ask, we're going to start with an item that the dog loves, or we can set them up so that they absolutely love it.
First off, you have to choose an item for your dog to retrieve. Now, I'm going to share with you some that I feel could be great and others that are not going to be so great. So, not so great are toys that your dog can have fun by himself. So, something that squeaks, not so great. Even if this didn't squeak, it creates a fun game for the dog of having the latex bounce back out for him. Something like this seems like, well, this wouldn't be fun for the dog, but again, they can mouth it and they'll have fun with it. So these aren't great choices. A toy like this, okay, I love this toy. My dogs love this toy, but it's got nice fleecy fleece here that they can pluck away at. Again, not a good toy. This may seem like these might seem like really cool toys, and they might be. However, you might have a dog who just starts flinging it up in the air, and again, it's got resistance. This doesn't bounce back the way some of the other toys do, but this could be a self-reinforcing toy just to bang off their face. Why do dogs like to bang things off their face? I don't know, but they do. Same with this. The little firecrackers at the end, they might think this is fun. They could pluck, they could chew. So things where they can't be reinforced by are not good toys. Now, it's all going to be dependent on the dog too, because some dogs may never dream of plucking or chewing on a toy. So go ahead, you can use any toy like that. These are good toys. Again, a Frisbee, it seems like it's not going to be such a bad toy, but not really a good one because they can play with it by themselves and have way too much fun. These are probably the better toys. So a Becco Bone, that these are made to put cookies in the end to keep the dogs engaged and out of your hair while you get on the computer and listen to this video. So this might be a good one. I don't know the name of this one, but it's called, I don't know, West Paw Design. These ones for dogs who really are not very interested, you could actually start the game of retrieve. One of the games you're going to find is by putting a little bit of cheese in the cracks, so they'd be more interested in the food in this. But I'm jumping ahead. This is great, except it squeaks. So great retrieve toy down the road for you. All right, so I've got tons of toys, but the one that I will choose to use with my dog is just something that is not reinforcing. Something like this. This might be, but again, they can whack this off their face. So we're going to play with this toy to start. Eventually, we want our dogs to retrieve everything for us.
Game number 1 is called tug targeting. Now, this is going to require your dog tug on a toy, but don't be concerned if your dog doesn't tug on a toy. Remember back to that list of prerequisites? Tugging was not one of them. It just makes it super easy for dogs to want to retrieve. So I'm going to walk you through what tug targeting looks like. And if your dog doesn't tug, work on that and then move ahead to our next game.
Okay, so we're starting, of course, come here, bud, with our dog on leash. I've chosen to put him on a harness. You can use a flat collar, but a head halter is not a good idea for this. If your leash is like mine, is a little bit long. This is actually his something I use for scent training. Just, lean on it so the dog doesn't have a ton of room to go off away from you. You're going to start, remember how I said don't have a toy like this? Well, for this game, Tug Targets, we do need a fun toy like this. So we're just going to start the game by having the dog hand target, and then tug. All right, so they get the game of tug. I threw the toy to him. Please don't do that because your dog might run off and you're going to end with a failure to begin with. Okay, out. So we'll do that again. Hand target, get it. All right, so that's, now while you're playing this, you're going to toss the toy between your hands. So present this hand out here, and then so the dog knows when my hand comes out here, I'm bringing the toy over, right? And thank you. You're just going to put it down again and do hand target, and then they get the toy as a reward. All right? If your dog doesn't tug, all right, buddy, thank you. If your dog doesn't tug, no worries. Keep working at that tug, and then you're going to start with the next game, okay? Now, for the people whose dogs do tug, we're going to progress this game to playing tug or target tug, and then put your hand out and see if your dog will gravitate and put the tug toy in your hand. So it looks like this. Good. Get it. And while I'm tugging, I'm going to drop it and see if he will bring it to that hand. So this is just a fun little game to play with dogs who love to hand target and who love to tug. So the game, if he wasn't going to, do you see how he brings it to my hands even when I'm not? Because that's a game we've played since he was a baby. If your dog wanted to turn around and run away, they're on a leash, guys, so don't worry about it. Put your hand away until they look back and then put it out so that they'll come back. Okay, thank you. If your dog doesn't put that toy in your hand, no worries. Keep practicing with your hand targets and work on the next stage, and you can come back to this. If your dog does, then let's progress it. Let's stand up and let the dog have it. Hand target, and then what you're going to do is you're going to run away and put your hand out so that the dog can grab it. Thank you. Out. Keep getting your out word mixed up with taters. Thank you. For dogs who really get this game, try doing it standing up, and instead of putting your hand down right away, let the dog chase you and put your hand down. It looks like this. Ready? Get it. So they're tugging. I'm going to put my hand down. I'm going to tug again. I'm going to run away, put my hand down, and the dog's going to chase me and then tug. Okay? That's it. Thank you. Out. Good. You lie down? Super.
So the game of grab. We need to work on our dog grabbing something super quick and turning and facing us. So we spend a lot of time in the Bring Me program just working and focusing on and reinforcing the grab. It's super important. So we're going to start with your dog that you've just played a fun game and they're all excited to work with you. They're going to be on leash. You're going to grab their collar and smack the non-reinforcing toy on the ground to get them excited before you release them to it. You don't have to say anything. The excitement that you've built up and the collar grab and the opposition reflex should have that dog diving at it. If it doesn't, don't be afraid to take your toy for the first 3 or 4 repetitions and squeeze a little bit of cheese or soft food onto it. We want the dog diving towards the toy. And when they do, you're going to mark them for the sniff, the lick, the bite, and give them a reward that's far more reinforcing than the food that's on the toy, if you happen to put any food on the toy. All right, so you want to do this over and over again without food on the toy before you move up to holding that toy in your hands. And when the dog puts their mouth on it, you're going to mark it with a good or a yes and reward with a super high value reward.
Now we're going to play the game of grab. So I've got some good treats. Both these bowls have good treats. These are super exciting. It's like roast beef and chicken, and these are just, a good mix of healthy treats. So at first, what we want to do is we're going to get the dog excited. Never start your training with a dog who's like yawning and scratching their head and looking around. So play one of your motivational games to get the dog excited, and then bring them in here. They're in an excited state, and we're going to have a cookie ready. And what I'm going to do is hold the dog back by the collar of the harness, slap this on the ground, let them chase it, and then, of course, my dog's going to pick it up. Your dog, like the doodle that I played, they might just sniff it. So with this doodle that I was training, a 6-month-old puppy, she might just sniff it or lick it, and you're just going to reward at the toy. So that's why you have cookies in your hands ready, and you're going to get them excited, let them go, and then you're going to say yes or good and reward them at the toy. Game of grab. Thank you. If your dog is not showing any interest, no matter how exciting you make this toy, try different things like a scrunched up piece of paper or a toilet paper roll, or even put a little bit of food in between the cracks just for 1 or 2 repetitions so they get the idea that there's something about this thing that brings them the excitement of the food that you're going to give them.
Stay at this stage until the dog reliably puts their mouth on your retrieve item. And if it doesn't happen at first, don't be afraid to change out your item. Maybe go to a piece of paper or a toilet paper roll.
Once the dog is good at that level, we're going to move this game of grab up, and you're going to hold the dog or hold the toy in your hand. Now this gets a little tricky. You need the cookies that you're going to feed the dog with in the hand that's holding back the dog. You're going to let them go, yes. And again, always feed the dog right at the toy because that brings value to the toy. Game of grab, super easy. Set a few sessions. Make sure your dog is always excited when you're playing this though.
Our next layer of learning is the pick-me-up. So we are going to keep playing the game of grab, but we want the dog to elevate that toy now. Not just put their mouth on it, but pick it all the way up. So the game starts the same way. Excited dog on a leash, collar grab to start. Smack the toy on the floor, but this time you're not going to mark it with a yes or a good until they pick that all the way off the floor. Now, really important, if you stay at this stage and keep marking just for the pickup, you're going to have a dog that's like popcorn, pick and drop, pick and drop, pick and drop, pick and drop. So you're not going to stay at this stage for very long.
Now we're going to elevate the game of grab. Now for this, the dog has to elevate your toy up before the dog earns a click. So I'm going to put the toy on the ground and get the dog excited again. And when he picks it up, I'm going to click and reward. All right, so clicker is going to be in the hand that holds the dog back. Right, boom, 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 boom. Get it? Good. Okay, so excited. I know you're trained. Boom, boom, boom. Good. And, oh, that one was bad. I dropped the cookie. See what happens when I drop the cookie? The dog starts looking for the treat, and they drop the toy. They forget about everything. So we'll do it again. Clicker here. And I'm going to click for when he picks it up. Get it? Nice. Thank you. And this way I get to reward right at the toy. If your dog drops the toy to get the cookie, that's not a problem. We will get to a stage where he's not dropping the toy. That is not what we're looking at right now. We just want to click for the moment that he puts his mouth on the toy. Elevated game of grab.
When the dog will pick and hold a toy, you can then try this with 3 or 4 other toys.
Once your dog has got the game of grab, let's integrate some of your other toys. Toys that could be a little bit more reinforcing. So 2 or 3, I still wouldn't go to a squeaky toy now, but you might want to if your dog's doing really well at this, but build up to that. I've got my clicker ready. I got my toy over here. Get it really excited. Ready, get it. So I'm clicking the moment he picks it up. Thank you. And most dogs are going to drop the toy so you can reward them. I'm going to go to a higher value reward. I bet he'll drop this toy easier. Thinking, as soon as he hears a click. Ready. Get it. Good. Thank you. Oh. Just keep playing this game with all the toys you can think of, as long as your dog's confident and has success. Ready. Good. Thank you. So most dogs, as soon as they hear the click, they're more food driven than toy driven. They're going to give you, drop that toy in order to get the cookie. If your dog isn't, it's not a big deal. All we're focusing on is the elevated game of grab. Grab it, turn around, bring it to me. Grab it, turn around, bring it to me with all your toys. Ideally, they'll drop it, but it doesn't matter right now that they're not.